Okay, welcome everyone to session number 251 of Kevin Reed's A Course in Miracles. All right, we are continuing in the Manual for Teachers. We are still in question number 4, what are the characteristics of God's teachers? And today we will concentrate on the second and the third characteristics, all right? Roman numeral 2 and Roman numeral 3, right? We devoted a whole session to the first characteristic, which is trust. All right, so first of all, anyone who wants to demonstrate their belief in the oneness becomes a teacher of God. Okay. We are on the path. Then Jesus lets us know that we're not as far along the path as we think, which is not a bad thing. Doesn't make it bad. But there's stages, so to speak. Right? There's increments to where you get to the point where you put all of your trust in the Holy Spirit, all of your trust in Jesus. And then you become an advanced teacher of God. Right? Like the historic Jesus was an advanced teacher of God. Okay? We are working toward that. As Jesus says in the text, if you want to be like me, I will help you. And if not, I'll wait for you to change your mind. All right? I'm just cutting that a little short. All right? So that's what we're aspiring to, is to become that. All right? Once we have worked our way up the ladder, in that development of trust, and then we fully trust in our right mind. We fully trust in the memory of who we are. Right? Then we become advanced teachers of God. And then all these other traits, they just blossom. They're just part of the package, so to speak. You become this, you become honest, right? You become tolerant. Those are the two things we're going to deal with today. Honesty and tolerance. So let us begin before I confuse myself. Okay. Honesty. All other traits of God's teachers rest on trust. Once that has been achieved, the others cannot fail to follow. Only the trusting can afford honesty, for only they can see its value. Honesty does not apply only to what you say. The term actually means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with another. Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. All right? Once again, there's no separate interests. All right? So as he says, all the traits rest on the trust, which is why it was the largest explanation here in the characteristics. Once we have that complete trust in the Holy Spirit and Jesus, that they will show us the truth, right? We will automatically, everything we do and say will coincide with that, right? We will become consistently honest, right? The term actually means consistency. There's nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. So there's actually no doubt, there's no conflict. There's nothing that you do that contradicts what you say or what you think. No word lacks agreement with another. Everything is coming from this consistent thought of love, this trust in the love. Right? Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Right? In other words, we don't doubt who we are. Right? We have come to the great awareness that I am part of the oneness. I am a thought in the mind of God. Right? I am an emanation of the original source, any way you want to put it. Right? I have no doubt about it. Right? I'm not in conflict with who I am. I don't question it. Therefore, it's impossible for them to be in conflict with anything or anyone or anything. Because we are certain who we are. We are certain who everyone else is too. All right? No matter what their form is doing or saying, we are certain that beyond that form, we know who they are. We know that they are the same as we are, and that there are no separate interests. Everyone has the same need, is to awaken to the fact that you are part of the oneness. You are the emanation of the original source, the emanation of God. All right. So there's no separate interests. All right. Paragraph 2. The peace of mind which the advanced teachers of God experience is largely due to their perfect honesty. It is only the wish to deceive that makes for war. No one at one with himself can even conceive of conflict. Conflict is the inevitable result of self-deception. And self-deception is dishonesty. There is no challenge to a teacher of God. Challenge implies doubt. And the trust on which God's teachers rest secure makes doubt impossible. Therefore, they can only succeed. Because they never do their will alone. They choose for all mankind, for all the world, and all things in it, for the unchanging and unchangeable beyond appearances, and for the Son of God and his Creator. How could they not succeed? They choose in perfect honesty, sure of their choice as of themselves. So, the beginning of paragraph 2, the peace of mind which the advanced teachers of God experience is largely due to their perfect honesty. All right. We are sure that we're not separated from God. All right. There is no deception. All right. And because of that, I can be consistently loving and kind and all the other traits that come with this. There is no deception. I'm not deceived in who I am. If I believe I'm separated from the oneness, if I believe I'm this individual, I am deceived. I am deceiving myself. And that deception causes conflict. Right? Because the deception causes guilt, that free-floating guilt that I need to project. So I'm become in conflict with everyone and everything. Right? The quality of the air, right? The poisonous flowers, bad food, right? Threatening people, people who don't believe the same way I do. Right? I'm in conflict, constant. Right? I am a man of constant sorrow. Right? I've seen trouble all my days because I'm deceived in who I am. If I believe that I am anything other than the offspring of God, the offspring of the Creator, I am a man of constant sorrow. All right? And the peace that comes with that, with the trust in the Holy Spirit and in Jesus, the peace that comes with that is that peace that St. Paul described as the peace that passes all understanding. There's no way of describing it, but you will know it. All right? It is only the wish to deceive that makes for war. Right? That wish to deceive, that choice for the ego, the choice to believe that I'm separated from the oneness, I'm separated from all this. Right? I mean, automatically, I don't trust God anymore. I don't trust anything. That makes for war on all different levels. Right? War with yourself. So a lot of us hate ourselves for a period of time. Right? And we project it out onto others. We hate others. Right? Because we've decided to deceive ourselves. We've decided to believe that I could be separate from the oneness. I could be an individual. Right? It's only the wish to deceive that makes for war. No one at one with himself can even conceive of conflict. When you come to the realization of who you are, and all those steps along the way that reinforce your journey, you become more and more lighthearted, less and less prone to conflict, because now you can see the contrast. Right? And the contrast is what motivates us to move along. I want the peace. And then we get to the point where we can't even conceive of conflict. It's ridiculous. And conflict is the inevitable result of self-deception. And self-deception is dishonesty. I'm lying to myself. I'm telling myself I'm an individual. There is no challenge to a teacher of God. Challenge implies doubt. And the trust on which God's teachers rest secure makes doubt impossible. As we go along, we trust more and more in our inner guides, right? In those mighty companions that go with us. Right? All those loving thoughts that we did along the way, they go with us. Right? Until we get to the point where there's no doubt. There is no doubt. I am part of the oneness. Therefore, they can only succeed. The trust makes you secure, and it makes doubt impossible, and so you can only succeed. In this, as in all things, they are honest. They can only succeed because they never do their will alone. Right? Because there is no separation now. There is no separation from my Creator. I am only doing the will of the Creator, which is to extend love. And in this experience of form, whatever form it takes, I don't need to know the form. I just need to be willing to be part of the oneness and allow that to come through me. Because the mind is connected. There's only one mind. So I move around in form. And I bring that awareness of love with me. And it can take form, whatever form people need. It will take that shape. As Jesus says, to paraphrase Jesus, it comes in a language you can understand. So you can only succeed. They can only succeed because they never do their will alone. I'm not acting as an individual. I know I'm part of something greater. And they choose for all mankind. Because the mind is one. It may look like billions of mankind's out there. Right? Looks like billions of people with different minds. Seems that way, but in actuality, the mind is one. So when we choose to see correctly, we're choosing for all mankind. Right? Don't let the metaphysics throw you off. I remember Dr. Wapnick saying, as you work your way up the path, it's okay to think of everyone as having an individual mind. It's okay. Doesn't make you bad, as we say. Back in Rosedale, Queens. Don't make you bad, man. But in actuality, what he's telling us, when you choose the right mind, when you choose the oneness, when you choose peace, love, all those things, you're choosing for all mankind. You choose for all mankind, for all the world, and all things in it. Everything. For the unchanging and the unchangeable beyond appearances. That's what we're choosing. We're choosing the unchangeable, the unchanging. That moment that lasts forever, that never changes. There is only the oneness. There is only the joy, the peace, the love. Never changes. It's unchangeable beyond appearances. It goes way beyond appearances. And for the Son of God and His Creator. So I'm choosing for myself and for God. So no one's left out. Nothing is left out. So when your choice is that powerful, how could you not succeed? He says. They choose in perfect honesty, sure of their choice as of themselves. So I choose the right mind. I choose to see things correctly. I put my trust in the Holy Spirit and Jesus. I allow them to guide me, to show me corrected perception. how could you not succeed? Because you're choosing in perfect honesty, and you're sure of the choice as you are of yourself. Right? There's that certainty that will arise, that will get stronger and stronger as we come along. Right? So the honesty is that consistent behavior. All right? If we take the historic Jesus as an example, his behavior was consistent. All along the line, his behavior was consistent. I mean, there's some things in the New Testament that I don't know. Sometimes you have to say, "Oh, really?" But it's neither here nor there. The idea that he appeared in the dream, right? He knew he was not part of the form. He appeared in form, but he knew he was not part of it. He knew he was separate from that. Right? He knew where everyone's place was. And he came to open up the mind. Right? And so his behavior was consistent. And he'll even say in the Course that his choice, it was like the one mind thought, well, maybe I could be an individual. Right? In that moment, that part of the mind that Jesus represents just said, no, I'm going back. This is crazy. But like I said, don't let the metaphysics trip you up. Just put your trust in the right mind. Put your trust in your inner guides, Jesus and Holy Spirit. And you will choose in perfect honesty. And you'll work your way up the ladder, and all of these beautiful traits will just blossom, and they'll go with you wherever you go. So the third characteristic is tolerance. All right? And this tolerance is not that, I see you're annoying, but, I'll tolerate it for the time being. All right? That's the ego's idea of tolerance. For us, as teachers of God, the idea of tolerance, which will bloom, is the idea of no judgment. We have relinquished judgment. Paragraph 1, sentence 1. God's teachers do not judge. To judge is to be dishonest. For to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Judgment without self-deception is impossible. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your brothers. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? Judgment implies a lack of trust. And trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. Let this be lost, and all his learning goes. Without judgment are all things equally acceptable. For who could judge otherwise? Without judgment are all men brothers. For who is there who stands apart? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. no teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. Okay. You see how he mentions, keeps going back to the previous attributes. All right. Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. All right. So when we're speaking of tolerance, we're speaking on looking on everything. It's all the same. All right. And like we say, the Holy Spirit's judgment, when look out on people, is that they're either calling out for the love they think is missing, or they're extending love. That's all there is to it. Right? There's not a matter of guilt. Right? There's not judging anyone as guilty and separate. All right? To judge is to be dishonest, he says. For to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Right? To judge is to be dishonest. That means that you're different than me. Right? And I'm looking down on you. You're assuming a position you don't have. There's only the oneness. There are no separate interests. Right? Judgment without deception is impossible. In other words, you first deceive yourself, and then you judge. First deceive yourself. You say, I'm separate. I'm separate from this oneness stuff. Are you kidding me? All right. And then everything rolls out, and there's billions upon billions of separate things that we stand in judgment of. And from the idea of projection, repression and projection, we feel guilty for having separated automatically. So we start judging. First we judge our Creator. We say, that freaking guy, he wouldn't let me be an individual. Now I have to show him that I could do the same stuff. Right? Then this is why, to me, the Adam and Eve story is valuable, because you could see the metaphors. All right? They eat the fruit, so I think I could be an individual. Automatically, they hear God stomping through the. Well, first of all, they feel shame. All right? They have to cover themselves because they realize they're naked. So the body comes into play automatically. There's something shameful about the body. Then they hear God stomping through. So God becomes a vengeful God, looking to get them. All right? So we're just all projecting onto God and judging him now as a horrible father. So then the ego says, come on, let's go. And instead of God throwing us out of the garden, well, which we say he did because it's got to be his fault. The ego just says, come on, let's go. We got to get out of here. We project out of the mind. We think we can leave the mind. And now there's billions of things just waiting for our judgment. Right? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it scary? Is it safe? Is it this? Is it that? Constant judgment. And it's a result of self-deception. I told myself I was what I was not. I told myself I was an individual. I deceived myself. I said, I'm not the Son of God. I'm Kevin. Are you kidding me? And then I go around judging. Look at this jerk. Everything. And it gets worse, of course. But it's judgment, it's impossible without self-deception. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your brothers. So I see them as separate. I'm deceived. Everyone I look at who is truly part of the oneness with me. He's truly my brother, my sister. Right? That's who they are in truth, because there's only the oneness. But now I look on them as separate individuals. I am deceived. I'm deceived in my brother. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? All right? In order to see that, you have to be deceived in yourself. You have to see yourself as an individual on your own. Judgment implies a lack of trust. Once again, going back to that first bedrock of a teacher of God. So judgment implies a lack of trust. I don't trust the Holy Spirit, who is the memory of who I am. I don't trust Jesus, who is the embodiment of the Holy Spirit. He's the goal that I'm trying to emulate on earth in this experience, whatever form you wind up in this hologram. I'm trying to emulate that. I'm trying to achieve that. Right. Judgment implies a lack of trust. And trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. So if I'm judging, if I'm not tolerant, if I'm judging, right, then there's a lack of trust. There's a lack of trust in my right mind. There's a lack of trust in that process of going to the right mind and asking, help me to see correctly. There's a lack of trust in that process. And so I continue judging. All right. Judgment implies a lack of trust, and trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. Let this be lost, and all his learning goes. Right? It's those two systems are one or the other. Right? If I put my trust in the ego, all my learning is forgotten. Right? Everything I learned about the oneness, the kindness, the goodness, the shared interests. In that moment, it's all out the window. Right? So let the trust be lost and all his learning goes. Without judgment are all things equally acceptable. For who could judge otherwise? Right? Without judgment, right? If I'm looking at things through the right mind, everything is the same. No matter what the form, it takes. Right? It, in some way or another, the form will reflect the oneness of heaven. Right? And all things become equally acceptable. For who could judge otherwise? Without judgment are all men brothers. Without judgment, and the initial judgment is that I'm separated. So without that, right, if I go back to the belief in the oneness, everyone is my brother, sister. Right? Everyone, including those people you're thinking about right now. No, not him. Everyone. For who is there that can stand apart? Because if I'm judging someone as standing apart from the oneness, I am outside the oneness. Right? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. Once again, going back to the previous two. So judgment destroys honesty. The belief that I'm separated from God, the judgment that I am this, I am not the Son of God. Right? that destroys that honesty that brings the peace, that knowing that I am connected to God. And it just shatters the trust. And when the trust is shattered, my consistency is shattered. You know, some days you're nice, some days you're not nice. Your consistency is gone because of judgment. And remember, the original judgment is that I'm an individual. So tolerance is giving up that idea, is letting it go, right? There's no sacrifice. It's just letting it go, seeing that it doesn't do you any good. As we work our way up the ladder, right, we start to notice that these judgments, this intolerance is not bringing me peace. I do not feel good about it. Because after a while, you got to get tired. You got to get sick and tired of casting aspersions, as we say. Right? No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. So no teacher of God can hope to learn about the oneness, to learn about the innocence. You can't hope to learn that if you constantly reaffirm that, no, I'm separated. And because I'm separated, I see all these people are separated too, and I can't tolerate them. Right? I can't do it. I have to judge them. I have to be careful. So no teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. Right? So remember, judgment implies a lack of trust. And trust is that bedrock. All right? So you just notice. That's the idea. Right? You know, not holding this up as some kind of chart on the board where you check off stuff and you all of a sudden you achieve something. It's not like that. You just notice when you're judging, you notice. And that's when you go back to the Holy Spirit or Jesus and say, I'm willing to see correctly. In this way, your trust is being reinforced. Right? Your honesty is being reinforced. And your tolerance is being reinforced. I mean, that's pretty good, pretty honorable practice, if you ask me. All right. So, God's teachers do not judge, and all of the traits rest on trust. And once we've achieved trust, everything you do and say will be consistent. You will always be loving. You'll always know what to say or know what to do. And you don't have to figure anything out. You just have to be willing and know that you are part of the oneness. And the judgment will drop away. All right. Thank you. We'll just leave it here, and we'll do the next two in the next session. This way the sessions aren't too long and you don't have to tolerate me. All righty then. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.